This is the Neurosurgery Podcast.
Welcome back to the Neurosurgery Podcast. Once again, we're here in San Antonio, Texas at the AANS meeting. I've been waiting to do this podcast for a while because I first met John Cowan when I was one of the guests at the Georgia Neurosurgical. And John, at the time, was in the process of running for Congress. It was a number of years ago, right? But now you started again. So, John, welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Mike.
Welcome to the podcast. And tell us a little about yourself first as a neurosurgeon, and then we'll get into politics next.
Sure, yeah. I did my medical school at Johns Hopkins and then University of Michigan for residency.
So you're a slouch.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Are you too smart to be a politician?
No.
Okay.
People say I lost my mind. I'm going to go look for brains in Washington. That's what I'm going to do. But
that's going to be the title, Looking for Brains in Washington.
No, my title is It Doesn't Take a Brain Surgeon to Do This, but at least you've got one.
Okay.
So, but anyway, after residency, I decided to go back to my hometown and set up practice in that area. My father was a physician there. Mom was a public school teacher. And it was just a great opportunity for me to develop a kind of a nice general neurosurgery practice, which obviously lends itself to a lot of spine, but I've done a lot of trauma work, and I've gotten to operate on former coaches and teachers, friends. And it's just been great being part of that community, and puts me in a position to give back to the community. And I view this as an extension of giving back to the community at large, but then to the country at large.
Where's your hometown?
It's in Cartersville, Georgia.
Cartersville.
Yeah.
Okay, so like sort of southwestern?
No, it's just due north, slightly north and west of Atlanta. About an hour.
Oh, okay. On the way to Tennessee.
On the way to Tennessee, up I-75.
Okay,
yeah.
so in the middle of running a busy neurosurgery practice, you decide you're going to go off and take on this hobby. I love it. So tell us the inspiration.
Listen, I'm inspired by people who were, 250 years ago who signed a piece of parchment. There were 56 captains of industry. There were preachers. There were teachers. There were 4 doctors. They were entrepreneurs.
Who were the doctors? Do you know?
Yeah, there was Bartlett, Thornton, Lyman Hall, and Benjamin Rush.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So they were signers of the Declaration of Independence. Lyman Hall was a Georgian, so like myself. And these guys put their fame, fortune, and their honor on the line for principles that were far beyond what they were even able to live out as human beings. But they at least set a really high standard for which our country was founded on. It's fallen short of that in many respects, but at least has the opportunity to form that more perfect union year in, year out. And we're at the 250 years mark of that
this year.
Yeah. And the cool thing
1776 to 2026.
Yeah. And I have the privilege and opportunity to maybe step on those shoulders, step into some of those shoes and try to lead that next generation, maybe that next 250 years, say, look, this is a neurosurgeon, had a great practice, loves his wife, loves his family, doesn't necessarily want to live and move to DC, but is willing to step out of his comfort zone to serve and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal and that we need to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Now, last time you were running, it was it 2020 or so?
Right.
And then you were running for the seat that Marjorie Taylor Greene had.
That's right.
And I was making the pitch that, wow, how different the world would be if John Cowan was representing, is it District 11?
11? Yeah.
Okay. And then now you're back in the saddle, different district. Can you tell us about that location so voters in that area would know?
Yeah, so I mean the district is virtually the same. It's Bartow County, Cherokee County, Cobb County, Gordon County, Pickens. Our lines have shifted about 3 times.
Okay, I grew up in Cobb County.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Walton High School.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went to Cartersville High School.
Okay.
I don't think we were big enough to play you guys at that point.
I think I'm a little older than you too.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But
and what's it called? What district is it?
It's District 11, Georgia's 11th.
Georgia's 11th. And you're running for the U.S. congressional
Congress.
seat.
That's right.
Is there an incumbent, obviously?
No, there's no incumbent. There's 5 other people on the ballot for the primary. The incumbent decided not to run again, and that was a great opportunity for me to step forward as a political outsider, as a neurosurgeon, small business owner, and someone who's ready to serve.
Is there a precedent for this? Has there ever been a neurosurgeon who's been in the Congress or Senate of the U.S.?
No, to our knowledge, there's not been, and so
Right.
I think it's a neat opportunity for us as a field of neurosurgery and even neurology, people dedicated to neuroscience, to say, hey, let's get behind somebody who's willing to go up there and be an advocate for us. I mean, these conditions affect everybody,
Yeah.
right? And so there's something we need to invest in at a federal level. Make sure that funding at the NIH is going to research the cures for Alzheimer's and spinal stenosis. I mean, just things that we should be able to tackle.
Now, people who are looking for you, who are interested in finding you, how would they do it? Is it a social media handle or?
Yeah, so you can go to Dr. John Cowan.
How do you? Is it doctor or
Yeah,
DR?
DR and then JOHN COWAN, and you can go to that's our
No
social media.
punctuation.
No punctuation.
DRJOHNCOWAN
Right, or
.org.
no, but that's just our Twitter.
Okay, that's your Twitter
yeah,
handle.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But you can go to cowanforcongress.com. So that's COWANFOR Congress.com.
Great.
And check out more about us and what we're about.
So let's pivot now and talk a little bit about policy.
Sure.
Because obviously, once you're in office, right? We're
Yeah.
hoping that's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're in this midterm election, right? Midterm election.
That's right.
Okay, so it's coming up this November, right?
That's right.
So please think, if you live in that area of northwestern Atlanta, and you may vote, or maybe you're in the military overseas, but you're from there, and
Yeah,
you can
get your
vote
ballot
in
in.
District 11 of Georgia. Think about voting for John Cowan for Congress. So you get in, and then tell us a little about your policy stance.
Sure. Obviously, I'll be a big advocate for physicians' rights and what physicians are trying to do to improve healthcare.
And patients' rights too.
Yeah, that's right. But we are our patients' advocates,
Right.
And we are the ones who are on the front lines where we sacrifice our time, talent, and energy to try to heal people. And I want to be that same advocate in Congress where I can say, listen, guys, we've got to give physicians more ownership. We've got to get the government out of the exam room, get all of these insurance companies, policies, check boxes out between us and our patients and allow us to deliver the health care we know we can. We have the best, and the frustrating thing is we have the best training, best technology, best innovation in this country. But our ability to deliver that to people is hamstrung by all these other hands that get in the way, that stop us from actually delivering the care we were trained to deliver.
Yeah.
And we've got to get physicians back in charge of that. And physicians have to step up and lead too. Physicians have to say, look, I know how to deliver the best care. I know how to develop the next drugs and whatnot. And they need to be bold in that assertion and not cede this power over to administrators and attorneys.
I was going to ask you your stance on FDA. Yesterday, Marty McCrary was on stage, and he's to some people a very, very you could be called transformational or controversial figure, right? Because the FDA is undergoing a change now, and I don't really have an opinion on this. But do you have any opinion now about FDA? And I'm not trying to nail you down on one thing.
Fine. I mean, look,
Yeah.
Marty has done a great job. He was a transplant surgeon at Hopkins, so we've got that similarity. And anybody who's at Hopkins is well trained. They know the subject matter. And
he made the call last night. He made the clearing call. More
Yes.
surgeons need to come into
He
healthcare.
absolutely did. And,
Politics,
and
right?
I'm glad he did that. We didn't pay him to do that. He just made a plug on his own.
He was implying that the non-surgeons kind of sit on their hands a lot.
But what he's saying is we have, it takes way too long for the innovations in this country to get from bench to bedside. And he's exactly right. Once we have demonstrated, particularly for some of these diseases that are just devastating. I mean, you and I deal with glioblastoma, and there's other things like ALS and other diseases where thousands of patients die every year while we're waiting on a bureaucrat in DC to thumb through some paperwork. And we've got to cut out that red tape. Once you've demonstrated something is reasonably safe and has some efficacy, we need to get it into these patients' hands and help doctors help patients make informed decisions on the risk they want to take, not what some bureaucrat says is risk that's acceptable. Because look, a lot of these people are going to die before some of these cures can come out, and we can't test these things in enough people fast enough to really make a difference in most people's lives. So we've got to cut that tape.
Now, last time in Georgia, I wrote you a check.
Yeah.
I did it on stage. I was going to do it for the podcast, but I thought it might be a little too dramatic.
Yeah.
And you gave me that check back and said, Mike, I pulled myself from that race. So so I'm going to give you that back plus the interest and inflation rate,
Oh, wow.
okay, for
Okay.
your current campaign. But let me ask you about this. So you're wearing a PAC pin, and there's lots of folks. First of all, anybody can donate, right? Even
Yeah,
if you live in Hawaii.
Oh, that's right. You've got to, obviously, to donate to a congressional campaign, you've got to be a U.S. citizen.
You do? Okay,
Yeah,
you got to be
do.
U.S. citizen,
Yeah,
okay.
you do.
And
Yeah,
is
and
there a
18
cap?
years old.
Is there a cap?
Yeah, 3,500 is the
So
individual.
please,
match.
3,500 or
500.
$499.
Sure,
okay?
that's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine.
Please think about donating Cowan for Congress. But
Yeah,
they're people that are in your district that can vote for you.
that's
There are
right.
people all over the country that can support your campaign financially.
Right.
But you're also wearing this PAC pin, the
Right.
PAC, the Political Action Committee pin for neurosurgeons, right?
Right.
And Katie Rico wanted to make sure that I got this plug in
Yeah.
because it matters, right?
Guys, it's so important. I think, one of our pillars of neurosurgery is advocacy. And the way we advocate in DC is collecting our money together, pooling it, and having groups like CSNS and the AANS, CNS, Washington committees advocate on our behalf. And we do that by helping people get elected who will promote our causes. So folks that are fellow physicians like myself, it's nonpartisan. I mean, most physician ideas are not partisan, and
Yeah.
changes to healthcare that will move the needle are not partisan issues, and so we encourage every neurosurgeon to give to NeuroPAC. If you're not a neurosurgeon and you want to advance neurosurgery, neuroscience causes, certainly give to NeuroPAC. But neurosurgeons have got to take this seriously because these decisions are being made for us by other people who we're unable to influence because we don't have the financial wherewithal to do it.
And with the PAC, there is no contribution limit, correct?
No, I believe there's
Is there?
a $5,000 per person.
Oh, is it
limit.
5,000?
Yeah, something
Okay,
like that.
okay.
Yeah.
Per year or
Per election cycle.
per election
maybe, or
cycle?
Per year,
Okay,
something
I don't
like
know
that.
about any of these.
Yeah, you have to check that, but I know 5,000. That's what I gave this year.
You know,
And that's what I give each year.
and everybody should, and it strikes me because doctors, as we are the best paid group of professionals writ large out there. I mean, we are way more than lawyers, but somehow the lawyers are much more willing to open their wallets and checkbooks.
Well, look, they know how the game's played. They built the game and they live in the game. Most of the politicians are attorneys. They know how the game is played. And yeah, these guys, they have price of admission to their conferences, I'm pretty sure. Either they lock the doors and say, you're not leaving this hot, sweaty room until you contribute to our PAC. And
Just
I
like
think-
in a deposition, right?
Exactly. And I think, look, we're going to have to play this game. That's how the rules are set. And until the rules change, neurosurgeons and physicians at large are going to have to say, we've got to contribute to our local organizations, our PACs, and help get physician-friendly people, patient-friendly people elected.
Now, we talked about ways to support, because I believe in your cause. I mean, we've hung out enough that I've got a good sense of the fact that you would represent Americans well, not just neurosurgeons.
Yeah.
And I'm a Georgia boy like you. I grew up in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
So you could support directly Dr. Cowan by donating up to $3,500, right?
That's right.
You can support the neurosurgery PAC. But some of our listeners actually, they're not working yet. They're still students. So maybe they could give a couple bucks, but what else could they do? Could they
Listen,
retweet your messages?
Absolutely. They can retweet, but listen, they can go vote. And it doesn't matter if they're getting to vote for me or someone else. There's this problem of youth apathy when it comes to elections. Only about 10% of eligible people get out and vote in these primaries. And it's really sad. Is one of the reasons we elect people who are just popular on social media or where certain segments of the population are willing to vote. The 18 to 25-year-olds, some of the lowest voter turnout. You've got to go vote.
And they have the most time.
Well, I think so. I mean, I was studying a lot when I was at home, but I did find time to vote.
You did go to Hopkins.
And you have to go vote. That's the first thing you can do. But then just read, get involved in your local parties, talk with other people. Get in discussions, read the newspapers, things like that.
So
educate yourself.
You brought up an important point. You first have to go through a primary process.
Right.
When is that primary
It's
process?
in 2 weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you can't wait to November to vote because you're getting primary
Yeah,
voters
I have to
first.
get through a primary in 2 weeks.
So in 2 weeks, okay,
Yeah.
we need to, by the time we release this episode, there'll be even less time. So we need to release this episode immediately.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, how can we do that?
Well, I'm going to make that happen
Okay,
today.
good. All right.
My buddy JP is going to be out there doing this.
Good.
But let me get back to the social media piece because
Yeah.
there is this force multiplier element.
Right.
So in other words, let's say I'm not even old enough to vote. Let's say I'm a 12-year-old, bright middle school student, and I believe in neurosurgery. I believe in the cause, and I want to support Dr. Cowan. And I already convinced my parents and my older siblings to vote for you and all this. I could still get out there and get on your Twitter handle or your X handle, right, and talk about what great work you're doing, or send it to my friends, right?
Yeah, you can retweet, you can repost, retruth, whatever you want to do, and then put in what are your concerns, and what do you want to see out of your congressman for the future. I guess one of the reasons I want to run is I want to be a good example of like a decent human being serving in Congress. We have too many examples of people who are just grossly fallen individuals who, you know, who when most normal people look, they say, I would never want to go up there, right? And so I would like to be this example of someone who's happily married. I love my kids. I love my country. I'm not doing this for a paycheck. I'm actually doing this for service. And if we get back to those 56 people, I mean, they were doing this for service. They were putting their lives on the line. If they lost that fight, they would all been hung. So these guys were doing it for the right reasons. And I think we need more people, I think, like myself, who are doing this for the right reason.
Are you worried you're going to hate it? I mean, neurosurgery is so amazing, right?
Oh,
Such a
neurosurgery
great
is a
job,
blessing.
right?
It is a great job.
So you got this other job now. Like, are you worried you're just going to hate it?
You know, I've been through a lot of tough things. There were, like, organic chemistry was not my favorite thing in the world, but it made me a better person. Getting up for 4 a.m. workouts for football, I didn't necessarily like, but I knew it would make me a better person. I've always found that the things that were most difficult in my life always made me better. And neurosurgeons, as you know, can withstand a lot of pain.
We do.
Yeah.
We're built for it.
Yeah. And so I think I can gut through. And again, I think you surround yourself with the right people. You're tackling these important problems, and you're willing to work with others who are similarly driven. I'm hoping we can make this as rewarding as my medical practice has been.
So quickly go through it for the people, because I think there's a lot of folks listening that are going to get on social media
Sure.
and start to build a bit of like the BTS army, right? Like,
Sure.
So tell me again
Dr. John Cowan, DrJohnCowan. And if you do like the @ symbol in front, you'll find us on Instagram, Facebook, and X. And you go there, retweet, repost, whatever you young people do, and get our message out.
Dr. Cowan, soon to be Congressman Cowan. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for being generous with your time. And that check's coming to you.
Appreciate you. God bless, man. Thank you.